is Sabrina Spellman, and I will not sign it away.
Would you like to do the honors?
With pleasure.
Rise. Rise.
Happy birthday, sweet 16.
Was on Hilda.
She annoyed me, so I killed her and buried her in the yard.
Hello once again, watchers of Good TV. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Now, this is a Netflix original show which debuted over the weekend last Friday on the 26th. And it's a much darker adaptation than the previous versions. The only one that I've personally seen bits and pieces of is the 90s show starring Melissa Joan Hart, and I watched that just growing up. I didn't really know any of the source material behind it. This adapts that material. I've never read it, but as far as I could tell and based on things that I've seen, it seems to take a lot of its plot from those aspects, from those comics, from those Archie comics. And just like the CW's Riverdale, this is a much darker take. Like I said, it deals with much darker tones, and as it's not on network TV, it can go even further than Riverdale does with a lot of these themes, a lot of the darkness to it, and so let's talk about it. Also, just know this, I will be touching on bits and pieces of the season, all 10 episodes. So if you're not finished the season, if you're working on it, things of that sort, you plan to watch it, probably stop watching here, finish it up, come back and we'll talk about it then. Now, one thing about the show which I really enjoyed is the relationship between Sabrina and Harvey, because while it does have its cheesy moments to it, I really feel like this was a genuine relationship. Just the way that the two actors, Kiernan Shipka and Ross Lynch, just delivered this performance, because even more so than on Riverdale with Archie and Veronica, this felt like such a genuine relationship in regards to how they interact with each other, their conversations, their dialogue, how they reacted to various situations. It just felt very genuine to me, and I really enjoyed seeing that aspect of it because they are together on the show for a lot of time. And so just the fact that they work so well together as a couple on the show and have such great chemistry, it just really heightens that. And it makes the end of the show where Harvey learns eventually that Sabrina is a witch and has his own reaction to that fact, it makes it all the more saddening with the fact that they do end up breaking up to some degree. As I also mentioned, this show has a much darker feel to it, and me being as someone who really likes dark takes on material, this was something which I really enjoyed seeing because it really focuses on what it would mean to be a witch in today's society. And it deals with basically like hailing Satan and focusing on the Dark Lord and the Church of Night and these darker aspects which are basically opposites of what you would think of as like Christianity or the Catholic Church or things of that sort. And one thing with the Church of Night which I really appreciated is that it shows that it's not as uncorruptible as you would maybe expect it to be to some degree, because just like with Christianity and things which have happened throughout history, you have basically people speaking on behalf of Satan in this case and basically interpreting and saying that things were passed down to them through his word, things of that sort, and when they really weren't, and basically people are using this as a way to further their own desires and means. And you see this in one of the later episodes, and it just kind of made me appreciate that, oh hey, this place has flaws just the same as any other religion. And it's just kind of a cool thing to see. The performances are also what make the show really well done. Like I already mentioned, Kiernan Shipka, she delivers a really fantastic performance through all 10 episodes as Sabrina Spellman. I really enjoyed seeing her interactions with Harvey, as I mentioned, along with her friends at school, her enemies at the other school, and just various characters throughout the show. They all felt very genuine, and all the actors on the show did a really good work. Michelle Gomez, who I've mainly seen from Doctor Who with the Capaldi years, I thought that she also did a really good job, and she was honestly one of the standouts for me in this show because she basically is a demon who takes possession of one of Sabrina's teachers, and I really enjoyed seeing kind of the gray area that she walked from time to time, because while she is serving the Dark Lord, and while she is trying to manipulate Sabrina to sign the book to basically become a servant of Satan, she does show some signs of caring about Sabrina and her well-being, even though she is this very dark and evil person, as we see in the finale. But I did like that she kind of served as this mentor to her, and she didn't have a completely evil, maniacal side to her. And I'm just really curious to see how that develops through the next season. A couple of things which did bug me though, there are some plot lines which don't really go anywhere, which kind of annoyed me. For example, in I believe the 4th episode, Sabrina is given this puzzle which her father had as his thesis, which nobody's able to solve for 3 years or however long it's been there, and she ends up, of course, solving it overnight, and it is what she needs to solve in order to go into this conjuring class. So she solves it. We have episode 5, which I think was the weakest episode in my opinion, because it doesn't really add anything to the plot, and then nothing really happens with the conjuring course, or no one even outside of her aunts and everyone in the relative house knows that she solved it, and it just doesn't really go anywhere. So it really doesn't serve as anything good in regards to the plot. It just kind of bugged me. There's other things here or there which don't really get all the way fleshed out in regards to plot threads. Maybe they'll get more developed in the later season, but they're just things like that which kind of bug me upon reflection. It's like, why was that in there? And it could have just made it for a shorter season, or maybe developed the characters a little bit more instead of having that aspect in it. And as I said, this is a darker show, so it doesn't have as much comedy as I might have preferred it to have in the show. It could have really played up the idea of this darker feel and added some comedic elements to it. So maybe there will be those aspects in the second season, but it didn't have as much comedy as I would have maybe liked it to have. And as somebody who watches Riverdale on the CW willingly, I did enjoy that there are name drops of the town of Riverdale in this show. I think towards the beginning of the show, then also in the finale, and so it gives me hope that either on Riverdale or on season 2 of the show to some degree, we will either hear references to things going on in either show, or we'll actually see like Archie or Veronica or someone from one of the shows cross over into the other show. That'd be a really cool thing to see play out. Another thing which I like seeing developed throughout the course of the show is that the side characters, Harvey and Sabrina's 2 friends, they have actual plot lines which add to the general overall plot and story of the show, which I really enjoyed. They weren't just there to be supportive of Sabrina and basically are only there when she's on screen. They have their own things which they're doing, and they actually have very interesting character arcs as well. For example, one of Sabrina's friends, played by Jazz Sinclair, she is slowly going blind, and the idea is that she was cursed, or her family was cursed, a long time ago by witches, and basically made it so that every woman in her family would eventually go blind. But as a result, they are basically able to kind of do what Vibe does on The Flash, if you've seen that show, where they can touch something and they basically have a vision of what it's trying to tell them in regards to during one of the funeral scenes, she touches a mining helmet and she's able to kind of look into where a certain person is buried. And it's just kind of an interesting thing to see play out. And I just like the fact that her friends are getting these magical abilities as well, so they can continue to be different various aspects of the show and just continue to be essential parts of it. Because by the end, we do have Sabrina signing her name in the book, giving herself over to the Dark Lord so that she can vanquish the 13 witches from Greendale. And she ends up getting a new hairdo, which is reminiscent of what she actually looks like in the comics, which I thought was a neat twist. And we just see her going to this new magical school. And so it does make me kind of wonder if we're going to be abandoning these other secondary characters, or how much interaction they'll actually have with Sabrina, because if she doesn't really interact with them that much anymore, is it really going to make sense for them to continue being presences on this show? Another thing I just want to mention quick, Lucy Davis and Miranda Otto, they play Hilda and Zelda Spellman, and I really enjoyed seeing their chemistry on screen as well, because they are sisters who are very, very different from each other. One is very lovable and kind of dorky, while the other one is much more serious, takes the cult a lot more serious, and the coven and things of that sort. But they have this love for each other, and during the dream sequence where Zelda thinks that she's actually killed Hilda, and she has this immense breakdown because she realizes, oh hey, I might have lost my sister. You do see that there is a lot of love there for her, which she kind of masks a lot of the time, and I really enjoyed seeing Zelda's character development throughout the course of the show as well, because it just made for a very interesting arc for her, as initially being someone who's super loyal to the Coven, but then slowly beginning to see the faults within it via Sabrina. And it's just interesting to see where she'll go, especially with her apparently trying to raise a daughter somehow over the next season, seeing how that plays out for her. But guys, overall, I had a lot of fun watching the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's a very fun show to watch on Netflix. It's really well done. I'm really glad that it came to Netflix as opposed to the CW where it was initially supposed to go, because like I said, I think they're able to dive into the darker themes and tones which the show has done. It has more blood, it has more dark, quote-unquote, evil references, and just is able to play with that idea a lot more than you would be able to like on something like the CW, which can go dark like Arrow and Riverdale have, but it can't really go into like the satanic stuff as much. I don't think it would be able to, at least without getting a lot of hate from people. And I just like that there's a lot of characters, including Sabrina, who get to just toe the line between good and evil, because while she is primarily good, she does kill somebody in the, I think, 7th or 8th episode, and it's just showing how dark she is willing to go at times, and just makes her a very neutral character, and one which is much more interesting to watch on screen, because you don't know exactly what she is capable of or willing to do. But guys, those are all my thoughts on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Season 2 is currently in production as well, so I'm very excited to see when they end up debuting that. I'm hoping it's around the summer of 2019 sometime. That'd be a good window, I think. I hope that they don't wait a whole another year to drop season 2. That'd be kind of a bummer. But as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.